Good evening, everybody. I am streaming. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Carol. How you guys doing? I'm streaming from two social media platforms, so it's good to see you guys tonight. I can't. Oh, I owe you a call. Yeah, I owe you a call, so I will definitely get back with you. Okay. Okay. I want to welcome everybody to my social media platform. It's called Heal Your Heart. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Cami Knight with the Higher Love. And really, this whole story came about how I help heal women. First of all, I help heal women from self sabotaging beliefs. I help heal women from traumatic experiences in their childhood that they might have held in their bodies and carried it on to in their adulthood. And so, what I really do in the area of healing, really, I help women heal. Okay, that's what I do. And this really, the reason why I'm able to help heal women is because I healed my own life. God helped me heal my own life. And I went on a journey of unlearning, and God began showing me the truth of who I am. And that was harder than holding on to the struggle. For me to see the truth of who I was and to unlearn and to dismantle the self sabotaging beliefs, to dismantle that I wasn't enough, to dismantle that out of my conscience, to dismantle that out of my truth. Um, it took some work. It took some healing and some uprooting, but I'm here and I'm whole. And underneath all of that is your healing. Underneath all of that is wholeness. And I saw my life change for the better. I saw my life change for the better. Um, I began really reversing in age. My heart began healing. There was stuff that I didn't even know that I was carrying that I'm getting ready to talk to you about. And so my whole story, my whole personal story is about healing. And because I saw the transformation in my own life, I knew that this was possible for the woman who looked like me, for the woman who carried the pain and the guilt and the hurt and packed on all the things of, oh, I got it, I'll get it, I'll do this, for the woman who doesn't feel like she's enough, for the woman who's smiling but carrying the pain of the self critic in her mind, for the woman who goes to sleep with anxiety and wakes up with anxiety, for the woman who feels broken but feels that she has to still keep going, for the woman who cries in the bathroom but wants to but has to put back on this smile in front of her children. I know that story. For the woman who has, you know, when someone has told you that they loved you and you have felt it, but in your heart, because you were so shielded, you pushed that away. I know that experience. And I'm here to tell you that healing is possible, that your wholeness is possible, and that love is possible. So I'm here to share that truth with you on today. So I want to talk about three very brief things on today that is just really, really, really good. The title of it that I have at the bottom, it says How to End the Revolving Cycle of Pain. How to end the revolving cycle of pain. Number one is that you have to recognize that you are in pain. You might say, well, wait a minute, what? You have to recognize that you are in pain. The reason why you say you have to recognize it, you have to acknowledge how you are feeling. You have to go to the place and acknowledge that it is pain, because if you don't acknowledge it and you numb yourself from it, you'll go back to the same habitual um, mundane habits every day of constantly thinking that is going to go away when you haven't dealt with it and you haven't recognized it. And so you have to, number one, recognize that you are in pain. You can't heal something that you don't acknowledge. Oh, you have to heal. In order to heal, you have to acknowledge it. Okay? So that's number one. Okay? Number two, detaching from the pain, detaching from the pain, detaching from the pain. Once you've acknowledged the pain, okay, you recognize that it is pain. That's a real tough and sore spot there. Because to recognize it, now it opens up the now it opens up the canvas. Now it's a level of opening up the wound. And when you open up the wound, oftentimes the feeling of fear can make you become attached to it because you're afraid to let it go. You could be afraid to let it go. You become attached to the pain and you've been afraid to let it go. So it becomes a part of your normality. It becomes a part of your level of identity. And so we go from shifting from attaching to that to the pain to detaching from it. To detaching from it. And there is a time, there is a space for that. There's a time and there's a season for that. But in order to end the revolving cycle of pain, you have to, one, recognize that you are in pain. Two, when you recognize it, sometimes when that wound opens, right, it leaves us vulnerable, or we it's like the wound might feel so new, or the wound might expose. When I think of like exposing, I think of oftentimes like um, maybe just a slew of pigeons or a slew of bats that are like coming out of the cave, right? And it's like, oh my God, I didn't know that I had all of this. But when you open up the wound, you open up what needs to be healed. Okay? You open up the wound, so you open up what needs to be healed, right? So when you open it up, and it might seem very intimidating when you open that wound up, right? Because oftentimes when we're talking about the healing process, or when we're talking about love, healing and love goes hand in hand, right? When you open it up, and it brings about a sense of fear within you, or a sense of like oh my God, I didn't know that I had this within me. You can become attached to what is being exposed. You can be holding on to that agreement, or holding on to it because it might frighten you. And so it's like holding on to it because you're afraid to let it go, because it can be so intimidating, or it can seem so daunting to actually let it go. Okay. And I go deeper into it on my one-on-one session, but I really want you guys to really understand that, one, you have to acknowledge that you are in pain. And then two, when you acknowledge that you are in pain, then that's when things reveal. You cannot heal if it doesn't reveal. You have to be in the place of being open to open that scar so that it can be healed. And then being attached to it can oftentimes be because you're afraid to let it go. I know all about being attached to the fear. I know all about being attached to that pain. It can become like a safety blanket, right? If I attach to it, if I hold on to it, then that means that it won't hurt me again. It won't harm me again. So I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm gonna attach myself to it. Oh, this is who I am, right? Um, Sometimes we become so familiar with the no with what we have grown accustomed to. Sometimes we can become so addicted or attached to the struggle, attached to the trauma. When we want to break free, but we've become so attached to the trauma based out of our fears, based out of not feeling safe, based out of, well, if I hold on to that story, then maybe that won't happen again. Or if I hold on to this story, or if I hold on to this pain, then I don't have to worry about it ever happening again. And that is fear talking. That's fear talking, and fear will blind you of truth. I'm going to say that again. Fear will blind you of truth. It will have you repeating the same cycle of something that no longer exists. But you're breathing life into something that is dead. You're breathing life into a pain that needs to be, one, recognized, acknowledged, and then detach from it. Detach from it. Detach from it. And that requires a level of trust to detach from it. Because I think there's this book, and it's a real popular book that talk Year of the Yes, I believe. It's by Shonda Rhimes. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. The lady that writes for Grey's Anatomy. And she talked about she was a single mom, and her sister they were having a conversation in the kitchen, and she was sharing with her sister all the different opportunities that came her way. She was sharing with her sister saying, I could take this invitation to this to the inaugural ball, or I could take this invitation to go here, or I could accept this, but you know what? I'm a single mom. I can't do it. I can't do it. And her older sister said, you're a single mom, but you're not a single mom. Meaning that, yeah, you have the title of a single mom, but you don't have to attach yourself to the struggle of what your identity of who you think a single mom is. And so oftentimes when we may have experienced a traumatic experience in our past, or we may have experienced a traumatic event or something someone has said to us, oftentimes we are attached to that pain. We're attached to, oh, well, that's who I am. Well, so and so said I'm nobody, so that's who I am. Well, my mother was never around, so because of that, that's who I am. It's like, oh, well, I never had a father, so that's who I am. It's like, what are we speaking back to ourselves? It's like we're speaking the pain that was inflicting on us. We're oftentimes we're attaching ourselves to it, and we're speaking back to ourselves. We're speaking that back to ourselves, and so we're constantly having that revolving cycle of pain, that revolving cycle of that agreement, that revolving cycle of what you said that is true, but it's the illusion, it's not the truth. And so to detach from that, you'll see yourself in a whole new light. I remember in the beginning, so oftentimes in my journaling and my healing, a lot of my journal in the very beginning of my journey, my healing journey of unlearning, and oftentimes, actually this morning, I looked at my journal, and I was reading all of the things that was going on in my mind and how I viewed myself, and it was very limiting, very I was talking about how my esteem was low. I was saying like how I couldn't do this. And I was saying like I was struggling with this. And I was just began reading my journal. And I also began reading like, but there is something on the inside of me that is speaking truth. There is something on the inside of me that's saying there is something greater on the other side. And this is the truth for you. When you're attaching yourself to those labels, or attaching yourself to that pain, or attaching yourself to that belief, oftentimes you might think because that's all you knew, that that's all that is. You might think that that's all that I knew, and that's all that is. But you wouldn't be on this live. You wouldn't be on this live if there wasn't something on the inside of you that was causing you, nudging, tugging at you, saying that there is something greater. That there is something greater. And in order to go to something greater, you have to detach from what you are holding on to. So you might be detached to the feeling of, oh, well, I'm not enough. There has to be a level of detaching from that belief in order to step into the unknown. And then my last bullet point is, as I actually kind of mentioned it toward the end, and that's having the faith to step into the unknown. Having the faith to step into the unknown. I remember the unknown was so daunting to me, but your unknown, stepping into the unknown, having the faith to just make that step has to be greater than the pain that you are holding on to. Stepping into the unknown can be shaky. It can be scary. It can be frightening. It can be daunting. But it's okay, because there has to be something greater on the inside of you. Greater on the inside of you that wants more than what you are holding on to. That revolving story. And it is up to you to choose. It is up to you to choose to activate that faith. And that faith might be a crawl. That faith might be a trembling of a step, like Peter when God told him to walk on water. Don't be so consumed with how your faith should look like. They talked about the grain. Your faith faith can be the size of a mustard seed. So it doesn't have to be, your faith doesn't have to look polished and pretty. I remember when there was a time when I was walking my faith out and building my strength and leaning into what God was showing me, who I was, the identity and who I was in God. When God was showing me this, revealing this to me, the more that I detached, the more that I let go, the more that I took that step forward, the more that I did that, and the more that I did it afraid, the more that I did it with trembling, the more that I did it even when I screamed, the more that I move, however that looks like for you, whatever that faith, whatever that act of moving looks like for you. There has to be a level of agreement where you're saying yes. God can speak to your heart, right? But it's up to you to say yes to it. But there has to be some level of letting go in order to move. It might still be circling in your mind, but there has to be, in order to shift the revolving cycle of pain, there has to be a level of faith, a level of listening within, a level of leaning into that truth. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. I ain't going to sugarcoat it. Yes, it might be times when you don't believe that it is possible. But I'm here to tell you, on the days when when I felt that it was possible, it was possible. There was a quote that and I can't even think of the person that quoted this, but it talks about, oftentimes it's not that we are afraid of failing, but that we are afraid of our greatest potential. It's not that we are afraid of failing, but oftentimes it is that we are afraid of our greatest potential. There is so much power in you, and oftentimes the enemy, or what you might feel stuck in, or that story or that validated excuse, might keep you in a revolving cycle of back and forth of insanity. But the power that works in you is the act of your free will to take that step, So whatever that step looks like for you today, it's having the faith. Whatever that step looks like for you today, it's having the faith. And there is another side to your story. You have to speak life into your story. You have to speak life into how you want to feel. You have to speak life and how you want to change your life. You have to speak life. There has to be a level of agreement between what has already been spoken to you, what God has already spoken to you, what you already know to be true. There has to be a level of agreement, a level of faith, a level of activation that you have to do to get the wheels churning. It ain't gonna happen if you're staying here. It ain't gonna happen. There has to be a level of moving. And whatever that moving looks like for you, that moving, as I stated before, might look like crawling, but it's okay. Because one day you're going to run. One day you're not only going to run, but you're going to sprint. And you're going to sprint in freedom because you've realized and you've recognized the power that is at work in you. But the power is not going to move unless you move it. But you've got to move. I think of a story, the game show. You guys know the game show, Let's Make a Deal, or The Price is Right. No, Let's Make a Deal, right? And they talk about what's behind door number 1, what's behind door number 2, what's behind door number 3, right? And the contestant is like, I don't know which one to pick. Should I pick 1, or should I pick door number 2, or should I pick door number 3, right? And then the audience is like, pick number 1, pick number 2, pick number 3, right? And the contestant is nervous, like, what should I pick? Which one should I pick? So behind, let's say if she picks door number 1, right? So they open up door number 2, and let's say door number 2 is a car, and everybody's like, you should have picked door number 2. And then they say, let's say door number 3 is a trip to Maui, and they're like, oh my God, I told you to pick number 3, right? And so they slowly open up the door that she picked, which is door number 1, right? They open it up, and door number 1, it's a set of pots, right? And she's just like, I should have picked door number 2. I should have picked door number 3. The point that I'm making is that oftentimes our trepidation in picking, in stepping out into the unknown, oftentimes causes us to hesitate because we feel, well, if I let go of what I know and I step into the unknown, what if I get just this set of pots? Or what if I just get crumbs? Or what if I don't get anything at all? That's why I'm afraid to step into the unknown. But let me tell you the power that it works in you. Let me tell you the power that works in you, because it is all about your perspective. You can speak life into those sets of pots, and those sets of pots can create so much joy. You can create anything that you desire because it is not in the set of pots. It is not in the new car. It is not in the trip to Maui. It is in the power that you speak life to. Because when you understand the power that works in you, when you understand that you have the power to shift your perspective, when you understand the life that is working within you, you can shift your perspective and you can bring life. And those pots can be, you can create the greatest meal, okay? You can create the greatest meal that could heal your body. Those sets of pots that you can speak life to. You can give those sets of pots to somebody else who may not have had sets of pots in their home. It is the point that I'm making is it is a matter of your perspective, and stepping in the unknown has everything to do with what you are presently speaking to you now. What you are saying, what you are presently speaking to you now. So it doesn't matter what the outcome is, whether if it's door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. If you went to a trip on Maui, to a trip in Maui, or if you had the new car, or if you had the set of pots, it doesn't matter. The magic is in what you speak. It's about your perspective. It is about the power that works in you. It is not about the things. It is not about the outcome. You're detaching from the outcome, because what is for you is for you, but you have to detach from the very thing that you think you have to hold on to. So what is it that you're holding on to? What is the story that you're holding on to? What is the story that you're holding on to? And what are you willing to release, to tap into your own power on today? To tap into the beauty that is already within you. What are you willing to do to release, to end the revolving cycle of pain? I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. And so as I leave you on today, I want you to understand that there is so much joy and so much healing and so much wholeness on the other side. On the other side. All that you are seeking is already within you. All that you desire desires you. But you are the one to activate it. You are the one to activate it. And so, God, I just pray and ask that every heart that is listening, that they would know the power that works in them, that they would know how loved that they are, how much you love them, how powerful they are, that they would know their truth, that they would know their truth in you, that they would know their identity, and any enemy or anything that would go against that, that they would recognize the power that works in them. I know how it is. I know how it can be to be in a cycle of pain, to be in a cycle of fear, afraid to step out and see the beauty of who you are, to step out and see the true essence of who you are, because it is worth it. And so, God, I just pray for courage and strength to step into that truth. And whatever that step looks like for them, may they keep going, and may they be guided into the path of truth. I thank you guys for joining me on today. I help, as I said in the beginning, I help women heal from those roots, those beliefs. And oftentimes, I know for a fact, having a coach and being able to identify where that pain is or where that belief is, and to be able to know that you have the power to detach from them and to walk into your wholeness is everything. So if you would like to work with me and see the steps and tools that I have implemented that has healed my own life, I definitely will be happy to work with you. And also, I have a self-paced mini course called Heal Your Heart. If you would like information on that, I would definitely give you the link to that. But other than that, you guys, that's all I have. So thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you so much. Oh, I'm so glad that helped. I'm so happy to hear that helped. Yes, yes. And I will reach out to you tonight. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys another time. I will be on Facebook Live Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and also on YouTube. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bye.